Yo, guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Marijuana SA Weekly. And today we have Myrtle coming to join us to give us a little bit of an update on the Haze Club and a bit of an update on the feedback from the oral presentations that were given earlier in the year. And that's the government feedback relating to those presentations, basically on the proposed cannabis bills. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to give you guys a little bit of a fill in and a little bit of info. And yeah, Dean, what do you think we're going to hear today? What are you expecting?
I mean, I've been following the Haze Club quite closely, so I'm keen to hear Myrtle's thoughts. I unfortunately wasn't able to follow it when it took place, in court just the other day. But I do want to. I'm always keen to hear what Myrtle has to say, and then it will be also very interesting to hear some thoughts related to the feedback of the draft bill.
Yeah, 100%. Then I think without further ado, I think I'm going to bring Myrtle in. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to jump straight in and find out from you what's been going on with the Haze Club at the High Court. It's been quite a big week.
It has. It's been a very, very big week. Fields of Green for All unfortunately is going through a little bit of a financial crisis. So we had lined up for Charles to be at court with some of our Cape Town supporters on Monday morning. But then on Friday morning before the case, Ricky Stone, our favorite greenest lawyer, or Brother Green for short, got hold of us and said that can't we live stream the trial somehow? So I said, well, it's Friday already, we don't really know anybody who's got the know-how so he found a film crew in Cape Town, but it was going to be about 25,000 rand to live stream the day. So we just thought, and then I just thought, well, I wonder if Ricky couldn't do a little whoop around. So that's what he did, and there's a certain very private rabbit in Cape Town, a place that operates very privately that we can't mention, and Grow One Africa, Cannabis and his team, and then some people called Rawn Consultants who I don't know who they are, but very generously the three of those businesses got together and we could fly Joanne down on Sunday. Nice. So we quickly got everything together, a box full of equipment, a bit of a briefing, and Joe and Charles went to court on Monday. But unfortunately, that High Court, it's an ancient building, and there's just no signal inside.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't think to get like a router with like a huge long cable or something to go and get outside of the road.
Out the window.
Yeah, so they were very frustrated, but Ricky had sent an attorney from Cullinan and Associates. Thank you very much to them as a law firm for sending Hercules. So the first thing in the morning he went, because Ricky had written a letter on behalf of Fields of Green for permission to film / live stream. And first thing about 8:30, the judge granted us permission. So that was just great.
Amazing. Yeah.
Although we couldn't live stream. So the whole proceedings from the whole day are on our YouTube channel. We've got to apologize a little bit about the sound, but we will be putting the important bits out as shorts.
Nice.
The long and the short of it with the Haze Club, if you watch it, there were so many little snippets of it that you could hold on to that I can't really go into all of them here, but the bigger picture is they were running the Grow Club. They got bust. We always encourage people not to go into too much detail about how they got bust or who bust them or whatever. And that was over 2 years ago. And so, these legal things take long. So now they are in the High Court. But one must always remember that there's a very strict separation between the courts and Parliament. So this case is looking at whether they were breaking the law in terms of the privacy judgment by having members who they would grow their weed for them. So the police, right in the beginning, their founding affidavit was particularly well written, which took us all by surprise coming from our government. So that was, it shook us all a little bit. Not that we agreed with what they said, but they were quite up with the whole thing with dealing. So then when their advocate was speaking, it was dealing. And that goes all the way back to the Davis judgment, Jeremy and Gareth's Davis judgment back in March 2017, where Judge Davis said right there in black and white that dealing still remains can't remember how he described it, but like a large social ill, something that's very damaging to our society, this whole thing with dealing. So that is pivotal to the case. Money changing hands and all of that. We've always said since the beginning that they broke the cardinal rule of advertising. That's why I'm saying that I'm not even acknowledging the name of the private club that gave us money. So to me, Joanne and Charles said that it was feeling very positive. But these things where the separation of the court and the parliament so important, because the court cannot be seen to be dictating what the regulations are, and the formations of clubs has got to do with regulations set down by parliament. It hasn't got to do with law, and there's no law for them to clutch onto. So that's what worries me about the judgment. I don't think we're going to get it 2 months. At the absolute minimum, we're going to have to wait. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't make us wait till the end of the year for the judgment. Because I should imagine for that particular judge, it's quite difficult. Because they can't say to Parliament, you have to allow clubs. They can only say to Parliament that the Haze Club were within their rights in terms of the privacy judgment. So I hope that explains it.
Yeah, I mean, and this judgment that comes out, the repercussions, if it, what's the ramifications? I mean, it could be amazing, or it could be an absolute travesty.
Yes. Well, I don't think that one should. Yeah, I don't think one should stress oneself out too much about the judgment, because, in my opinion, it can go either way. Okay, because of this court parliament separation thing. Or because of their blatantness of it, or something. I don't know. How many plants? You never know.
Yes.
But either way that it goes, I wouldn't be surprised if the government don't waste our time and appeal if it's in our favor, or in Haze Club's favor. And I'm sure that if it's in the government's favor, there might be their legal team might take it to constitutional court. It is a constitutional issue, so I should imagine that any appeal would go straight to the constitutional court. And when I think, when it's something as basic and fundamental as a private social club, I think that that's wasting the court's time.
Yes.
And it really is. I mean, imagine we've got to drag this all the way to the constitutional court. We've got to have those 12 judges sitting there. Do you know how much those judges get paid? And we all, us in the peanut gallery, are paying those judges' salaries. So it's this cycle of time wasting and money wasting more than anything else, and civil society ultimately, because I know that this whole case has cost Neil and his family dearly, dearly.
Yes.
Not only in terms of financially, but psychologically and everything. And I do have a feeling that it is going to drag out to the Constitutional Court. So we have this whole cycle of not being heard. As the cannabis community, we are the child who were the adults who were never heard by our parents, because the government are kind of like our parents. Okay. And then, so if a child isn't heard by their parents, that child is going to pay very dearly later on in life. They're going to have all sorts of problems with their relationship. So that's what's going to happen to us. because they're not hearing our evidence. And the thing is that if you don't hear the evidence, me sitting here as an activist, okay, there's nothing I can do. There's no evidence to show that you must listen to the evidence.
Yeah.
Yes, true.
So you just get stuck. And then I end up being this angry white middle-aged woman, getting just so frustrated with this cyclical thing. If they will just stop and listen and present their evidence too, we're in a democracy and we just want to present our evidence. I mean, we've had it ready since 2017 and we've even made it better. It's a gazillion times better than it was in the trial of the plant.
Yeah, it's so frustrating when you're fighting to legalize something, and it's like this. I mentioned this on a show a while back, but I watched a video on YouTube where someone ate like a giant jar of gherkins and they died. It's just like, that's legal, like that's just like humans are we're responsible for our own decisions, and it's like there's things like that are legal, and many other things that are way worse, all the pharmaceuticals and the chemicals and and then this cannabis is put in this like strange place just because of a pre-existing stigma and the history of it. It's very incredibly frustrating.
With the emerging legal cannabis market, we've also got to, at the same time, fight with everything that we've got to hang on to our cannabis legacy that we've had for hundreds of years. And I think that's where the intersection of what we do at Fields of Green and what you guys do at Marijuana SA, and it's kind of what we do on the Hotbox show, and what all of our affiliates do, is we're working very hard to hang that together, because that is the future. The future is not some SAPRA license facility with their Frankenweed. It's not. The future, they're busy. It's been said in Parliament now that they're busy flooding the legacy cannabis market with their, what I call Frankenweed. And that was very interesting. Maybe some of your viewers don't know about this, but we had a feedback session with the Parliamentary Committee last Tuesday. And that was about the amendments to the bill. And the amendments was basically three. They wanted to integrate the commercialization, which will never work because it's the privacy bill, whatever. Okay. And then the second one was to grant special permission to the Rastafari Church to get licenses for them, because they're so important and much more important than the other 20 million users of cannabis in South Africa. And the Rastafari themselves, save for a few very militant organizations, but by far the majority of the Rastafari organizations who spoke out against that. They said, we don't want to be your tokens.
Yes.
And then the third thing was how to solve the conundrum of cannabis as medicine and actually growing your own medicine. So it was just three really lame amendments. So we all said our thing, said the same thing over and over, and then they came with their feedback. And in the feedback was Ricky Stone from Mzimvubu Farmers Support Network, and he said in Parliament, your licensed facilities are causing our farmers in Ponderland to starve because they are flooding the legacy market with their weed. And there's some farmers in Ponderland that haven't sold any weed for 18 months. They're sitting on all the stock because of this issue. And we weren't expecting Ricky to say it. Paul Michael and I had been speaking, and we were wondering whether we should say it. And I thought, well, it's not really my place, And then Ricky just came out with it. So that's really great. And just generally on the bill, so that your viewers know, is that we continue to condemn it, every single word. We continue to reject all of their 8 years in jail for having too many plants. We reject their plant counting completely. Who's going to count my plants? Who comes to count my bottles of whiskey? So if you go back on the various blog posts you've written and social media and whatever, you can trace the history of this bill. And it's that same cyclical thing with the evidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Myrtle, where can our viewers find a little bit more information, and how can they help support?
Well, at Fields of Green, we have our the Green Network. And there we have members, we've got quite a few hundred members who, in exchange for 49 Rand a month, they get preferential treatment, special tickets to events, they get preferential news, and they are on our Telegram group. And there's quite a lot of networking between those people. So that's our Green Network members. And then we also have an affiliate program, which is really the backbone of our day-to-day expenses. So a normal affiliate costs 995 Rand a month. And we always translate that into, that's 2 bags of weed. So you could have, just get greenhouse this month and not so much indoor, and 995 a month in 2022 is not that much. And then in exchange for that, we will have a look at your business and see how we can interact, and always mention our affiliate companies' preferential blog posts, social media posts. We highlight your events, your specials you might be having on your website. So that's basically all that is keeping Fields of Green going at the moment. We do have a big plan afoot because of what a mess everything is in the cannabis industry. We have no choice but to keep going, because with all due respect for my colleagues and all the other cannabis activists around South Africa, there's nobody else doing it on the same level as us. 100%. There's all sorts of people doing it on other levels, but our level, I think, is somewhat unique because we also have our international connections. And we had a big Zoom meeting last night, all to do with the access to restricted medicines and all of that. And, cannabis always comes up. So it's really important for us to participate in those conversations too. So in order to keep going, 49 Rand a month, and you become part of our amazing networking, and then 995 a month, and you become one of our affiliate companies and give a chance to actually change the law and make history.
Yeah, and us as a business, we can 100% vouch for it. As an affiliate, we do always feel the love, and we very much appreciate everything you guys do. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing an update today.
Thanks so much. I always look forward to our chats. Yes. And you have a great Thursday evening, and we'll chat soon.
Chat soon.
Always epic. Lots going on. I think every time Myrtle comes on, we realize there's so much other things happening in the industry that, a lot of people aren't even aware about. And we also, I think, as a business are firm believers of the work that the Fields of Green have done. So we have been, as much as we can, we've also been, working on the affiliates and assisting where we can, because they do really good work. And also didn't mention, but they also run the arrest hotline, which is, if you are having some trouble with the law, they always have someone available that you can speak to help you get the right information as well.
Yeah, that's Charles Manning then spoke with Myrtle briefly this week, and she says it's not gone. Like, arrests are flying in left, right, and center. I think as people are getting a bit more brazen, the police are just getting more opportunity to rain on the parade and do more wrongful arrests, and you need to know what to do in those situations. So guys, we highly recommend supporting the Fields of Green. It's worth every penny as a business if you do the affiliate, and if you want to join the Green Network, it's also a massive benefit. And it's really, you get the preferential treatment, which is always nice in 2022 to get some preference. But interesting stuff today. I mean, Dean, just your outlook on the Haze Club. I mean, have you got a hope in mind for something?
Yeah, I think there's a lot riding on the Haze Club, and I think a large portion of the industry that's operating right now in a more professional manner is looking at the Haze Club, because, it's it's the first club that's been the first one of the early onsetters of the club model, but a club nonetheless. And the industry continues to boom on the club side, whereas some are suffering because of it. And I think they obviously taking it further and fighting on the side of the cannabis industry, and hopefully we're all hoping for a good outlet, because I think that will lay precedent to allow the model of the club environment to further take hold within South Africa. So I think it's a massive deal for everyone in the industry, not just for the Haze Club themselves.
No, I mean that the burden that they must be going through in terms of just getting having to go through something like that, it's absolutely awful. I send my full condolences for that. It's scary stuff, and lawyers aren't cheap, and representation isn't cheap, and like living in like the unknown for
all that
something
stress,
wrong. It's like
and I mean, I personally had a chance to Neil interviewed me for his podcast, which he does on Spotify, African Gold. I got to spend like quite a few, we met on a good few occasions. It's the first time. He's a really solid, cool individual, so I really feel for them having to be the people to do this, but once again they haven't laid down and just taken it. They've really pushed hard on getting a good case together. They've got a good team, and once again I think a lot of people are really wishing them positive results right now within South Africa.
Now, guys, on that note, make sure to support the Fields of Green. If you don't know what a Dacha private club is, or a private club, check out our video on our channel, how to start a cannabis private club. We got one of the leading cannabis lawyers to talk to us a little bit about that, and amongst other information on our YouTube channel about growing cannabis and cannabis in South Africa in 2022. And we've been going for a few years. So there's actually Cannabis 2021, 2020, and 2019, and a little bit before that. So, guys, that's all from us for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe. Check you guys next week.
Peace guys.